I only make my bed for the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Randle Sports Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Seth Hagan. And welcome to the 2012 playoff push where the race is more jam-packed than a Honda at the border. Which border? I'll never tell. Alright, but when it comes to the NFL, the NFC is the most crowded with a league-high 5 teams sitting at 8-6 with just 2 weeks left in the season. The Cowboys and Redskins each control their destiny in the NFC East, and their clash in Week 17 should decide the division. The loser still has a chance to make the playoffs, but they'll need help from Minnesota and Chicago, who are also sitting at 8-6. And Seattle stands tall above all of them. At 9-5 with a 3-game win streak, they would have to lose to division leader San Francisco and the Rams in the final week. The Falcons also need to take care of business next week in Detroit, where they can clinch home field advantage for the playoffs. Over in the AFC, the Texans also have the opportunity to take home field for the postseason with a win over the Vikings. Unfortunately, none of our other teams are even in the AFC conversation, so you gets no love. Speaking of no love, I've taken the liberty of selecting a few teams who I had high hopes for during the season, and then proceeded to crash it all into the side of a mountain, Indiana Jones style, with no life raft. The New Orleans Saints. Perhaps I underestimated just how much a coach could affect a team. This was horrible. Then awesome, then horrible again. The former Super Bowl champs started off 0-4, basically derailing their season from the start. The Bounty Gate backlash and suspensions were too much early on, and even with a mid-season push, the Saints couldn't sustain their momentum, ending with a drubbing at the hands of the Giants last week. It's been a good ride, New Orleans, but you're fired! The Carolina Panthers. Blinded by star power and a preseason Super Bowl guarantee, I definitely thought Carolina had a shot at the playoffs. They did themselves no favors by losing 8 of their first 10 games, but 6 of those 8 were by a touchdown or less. After receiving a beating by the Giants in Week 3, the Panthers came out strong on undefeated Atlanta, 23-7, only to lose in the closing seconds. The game would set a trend for Carolina, and they never recovered until recently. Can I get a too little too late? Now they're stuck between draft positioning and head coach Ron Rivera's job. But in my opinion, this staff made way too many late game flubs to survive 2012. Time to cut ties. You're fired! The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Honestly, my hopes weren't that high for the Bucs at the start of the season, but by week 11, they had me thinking 2010 instead of 2011's debacle. What happened? Greg Schiano was getting Coach of the Year nods, but for the second consecutive year, Tampa Bay fell apart in the second half of the season. Now, to be fair, all the Bucs' previous losses had been by a touchdown or less, until Sunday. 41-0? 41-0? This isn't gonna work out. The Saints put a disappointing season and Tampa Bay all to sleep in one day. At least the Bucs had company. They'll also have a pick in the first round of the draft, which I'd use to shore up that pass defense that was dead last in the league. You're fired! During the bowl season, I'd like to highlight an all-South battle each week for you to look forward to, and the matchups will get bigger as we go along. This week, we're headed to Louisiana for the New Orleans Bowl, which features the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana-Lafayette against the East Carolina Pirates. Is Terry Bradshaw gonna be there? Sadly, no. But this should be a tight, high-scoring game between two teams that finished second in their conference each, and both have something to prove. Both squads are also coming in red hot, having won 9 of 11 games combined going into New Orleans. Their only common opponent was a pathetic Tulane team, but while ECU let them hang around, the Cajuns dominated from start to finish. Draw your own conclusions. Also, in their matches against ranked opponents, ECU wilted under the pressure of South Carolina's pass rush, while Lafayette had a memorable near upset of Florida. For what it's worth, both teams have talent at the quarterback position as well. Sophomore Shane Carden and Terrence Broadway can sling the rock and are getting at least 2 touchdowns for every interception. The difference here won't be the quarterbacks, but how each team protects them. The Cajuns come into this game allowing just 12 sacks all year while boasting an above-average run defense at 43rd in the country. Here, the Pirates fall woefully short, having given up 28 sacks all year, and to boot, Carden can't elude pressure and run like Lafayette's Broadway. Scoring isn't the problem for these teams, but stopping is an entirely different story. I predict Lafayette takes this one in the trenches, 38-27. That's the show, but I'll be back next Monday with my Week 17 wrap-up, and until then, stay logged on to RandleSportsReport.com for all your Southern sports needs. That's my time, and that's your wrap-up for Week 16. I'm Seth Hagan. We'll see you later.